Chapter 1. My old age, my memories. When I was young, I cried for the love I lost. I thought my life was over. I thought God had forgotten me. But now, at 62, I can see the truth. God never forgot me. He was only waiting to give me something better. This is not just the story of my pain. This is the story of how God turned my tears into peace and gave me true love as His gift. My name is Ethan Carter. I am 62 years old now. My hair is white. My body is weak. My knees hurt when I walk. Many nights I cannot sleep. I wake up, sit on my chair, and my mind goes back to the days when I was young. Old people do this often. When you are young, you run, you work, you dream. But when you grow old, you sit and remember. You look back at what you had, what you lost, and what you finally found. I want to tell you my story. It is not a story from a book. It is the story of my own life. It is full of love and pain, of tears and prayers, of loss and also blessings. Maybe some of you will see your own life in my words. Maybe you will remember your first love. Maybe you will remember the times you cried alone. And maybe, like me, you will see how God works in ways we never understand. I was born in a poor family. My father worked in a small shop. He sold tools, nails, and small things for daily use. He worked hard but earned little. My mother stayed home. She cooked and kept the house. We did not have much money. Many days we ate only bread and soup, sometimes only potatoes. But even when the table was small, my parents always said, "We are rich in love." That was true. I grew up simple. I did not have new clothes or toys. I wore shoes until they tore. I remember once in school my shoe broke. I cried in silence. That day Clara, my friend, came near me. She smiled and said, "Don't be sad, Ethan. You are my best friend." I was a small boy then, but her words stayed in my heart forever. I had two best friends. Their names were Michael and Clara. We were three children always together. Michael was rich. His father owned a big business. They had money, cars, and new clothes. I was poor, but Michael never left me. He often shared his toys and food. Sometimes I felt shy to sit with him because his clothes were new and mine were old. But Michael would say, "Ethan, you are my brother. Sit with me." And I would feel better. Clara was the most beautiful girl in our street. She had golden hair and bright eyes. When she laughed, everyone looked at her. People said she would marry a rich man one day. But to me, she was just Clara, my friend. We played together, studied together, and shared secrets. She was kind to me in childhood. Many times she stood by me when others made fun of my poor clothes. We three made a promise in childhood. We said, "We will stay best friends forever." At that time I believed it. I thought life would always be the same. We went to school together, played until the sun went down, and shared food from one plate. We laughed when one of us fell. We cried when one of us got hurt. Life felt safe. But childhood does not last. Life changes when you grow. When I became a young man, my heart began to feel things I had never felt before. I looked at Clara, and she was no longer just a friend. She was the girl I loved. but I kept my love silent. I was poor. I had no courage. I thought maybe she would see it in my eyes. Michael also loved Clara, but he was rich. He bought her ribbons, sweets, and books. Clara smiled when he gave her gifts. I only gave her kind words. Many times I wanted to say, "Clara, I love you." But the words stayed inside me. I was afraid. I thought, what if she laughs? What if I lose her friendship too? At 62, I look back and think, this is how life is. Many people hide love because they fear rejection. Many people lose love because they stay silent. Old friends, maybe you also had someone you loved but never told. Maybe you also lost that chance. One day Clara said something that changed everything. She said, "I like both of you. Michael gives me gifts. Ethan gives me kindness. I cannot choose. I will write your names on papers. Ethan will pick one. The name that comes out will be my husband." I remember that moment. My heart was beating fast. I prayed in silence. God, please let it be me. I picked one paper. It was Michael's name. Clara clapped her hands and smiled. See, it is Michael. Now it is decided. I forced a smile. But inside, my heart broke into pieces. I wanted to run. I wanted to cry. That night, when I was alone, I fell on my bed and cried. I prayed, God, why did you do this? Am I not good enough? Is my only mistake that I am poor? My pillow was wet with tears. Old people like me know this pain, the pain of losing your first love, the pain of being left behind. I found the truth later. All the papers had Michael's name. Clara had lied. She wanted the rich boy. She never wanted me. That truth hurt more than the game. I felt like someone had cut my heart. I told God again, "Why, Lord? I loved her with all my heart. Why did you take her away?" Even now at 62, I can feel the pain of that night. Some wounds never leave you. Some memories live inside you forever. But this is only the beginning of my story. I want to tell you everything. How I cried, how I prayed, how I lost, and how, in the end, God gave me something better, like subscribe and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 2, Childhood Friends Forever. When I told you about my broken heart, I started from the day Clara chose Michael. But I want to take you back now. I want to tell you how our friendship began. Because love does not grow in one day. It starts with years of trust. It starts with years of small things. I was a small boy when I first met Michael and Clara. Michael was the rich boy in town. Clara was the pretty girl everyone noticed, and I was the poor boy. You may think we could never be friends, but we became more than friends. We became like family. Michael had everything. His father gave him toys, books, and new shoes. Clara had beauty. People said, "She is like a flower." I had nothing, but I had a heart that cared. Maybe that is why we stayed together. We needed each other in different ways. I remember the first time Clara smiled at me. I had dropped my lunch in school. Other children laughed. Clara came and picked up half of her bread. She put it in my hand and said, "Here, Ethan. Eat this. You are my friend." Those words touched me deeply. I never forgot them. Michael was strong. Once some boys tried to push me because my clothes were old. Michael came and stood in front of me. He said, "Don't touch him. He is my brother." From that day, I knew he was more than a friend. We spent all our days together. We walked to school. We studied at the same table. We played games. We fought sometimes. But after a few minutes, we laughed again. That is how childhood is. We thought nothing could break us. One day my shoe tore. I tried to hide it, but Clara saw it. She sat next to me and whispered, "Don't cry, Ethan. I don't care about your shoes. You are my best friend." Her words were simple, but for a poor boy like me, they were gold. I often wondered why they liked me. I was poor. I had nothing to give. But they stayed with me. Maybe that is why I gave them my whole heart. I loved them both in different ways. I loved Michael as a brother. I loved Clara as something more, though at that time I did not know what that more was. Our families knew about our friendship. My mother often said, "Stay with good people, Ethan. They will keep your heart clean." Michael's father once said to me, "Study hard. One day you can also rise." Clara's mother smiled and told me, "Clara talks about you all the time." When I heard that, my heart danced. There were many moments I still remember. Once Clara fell sick. She could not come to school. I carried her books and went to her home. She opened the door, weak but smiling. She said, "Ethan, you are always here for me." I smiled back and said, "Of course, you are my best friend." That day, something inside me changed. I began to see her not just as a friend, but as the girl I wanted to protect forever. Michael was also close to Clara. He liked to bring her gifts. He gave her ribbons, sweets, and sometimes a book. Clara laughed and said, "Thank you, Michael." "You are so kind." I stood there, watching, and said nothing. But inside I felt a little pain. I thought, maybe one day she will like him more than me. Still, we three made a promise under the old tree in the street. We joined our hands and said, "We will never leave each other. We are best friends forever." At that time, I believed it. We were children. We did not know how life changes when the heart grows. Looking back now, at 62, I see how fast childhood goes. You blink and it is gone. But those small moments stay forever. They become the foundation of love and pain. I often sit today and remember those promises. I smile at the memories, but I also feel tears in my eyes, because promises are easy for children, but when we grow, the world pulls us apart. If you are old like me, you will understand. You will remember the friends you once had. You will remember the girl or boy you once loved. And you will feel the same question I feel. Why does life take away the people we thought would stay forever? This is how my love story began. With friendship, with bread shared, with torn shoes, with small fights and big promises, and with a heart that gave too much, like subscribe and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 3. When Love Changed. Everything as children we laughed, fought, and promised never to leave each other. But time moves fast. Childhood passed. We became young. Our voices changed. Our hearts changed. And our friendship also changed. I began to feel something new. Every time Clara smiled, my heart beat faster. Every time she spoke to me, I forgot the world. I was not just looking at my friend anymore. I was looking at the girl I loved. I tried to hide it. I told myself, do not show it. If she knows, maybe she will stop being my friend. But love is hard to hide. Sometimes Clara would look at me and laugh. Why are you so quiet, Ethan? I smiled and said, nothing. But inside I wanted to say, Clara, you are everything. Michael also changed. He was rich, and he showed his love in big ways. He gave Clara ribbons for her hair. He gave her books and sweets. She laughed when he gave her gifts. Thank you, Michael, she said, and I stood there, silent, feeling something break inside me. I gave her no gifts. I had no money. I only gave her my time, my care, and my heart. Many nights I lay in bed and whispered to myself, one day she will see my love. One day she will understand. But life is not always fair to poor boys. One evening Clara said words I can never forget. She looked at both of us and said, I like both of you. Michael gives me nice things. Ethan gives me kindness. But I cannot marry both. I must choose. My heart stopped. I looked at her and waited. I thought she would look at me. I thought she would say, Ethan, you are the one. But she did not. She smiled and said, I have an idea. I will write both names on 2 papers. Ethan will pick one paper. The name he picks will be my husband. Michael laughed. He said, that is fair. Clara looked at me. Do you agree, Ethan? She asked. I wanted to shout, no. Love is not a game. But I was weak. I loved her too much. I only said, yes. That night I prayed. I whispered, God, please give me this chance. Please let me be the one. The next day, Clara folded 2 papers. She placed them in front of me. Pick one, she said. My hands shook. My heart raced. I closed my eyes and picked. I opened it. It was Michael's name. Clara clapped her hands. She smiled at Michael and said, see, now it is clear. I will marry Michael. Michael laughed with joy. He held her hand. And I stood frozen, with a fake smile. My heart was burning. That night I cried like a child. I pressed my face into the pillow and whispered, God, why? Did you not hear me? Am I not good enough? Is my only mistake that I am poor? Tears soaked my pillow. My chest hurt. I felt like my life was over. Later, I learned the truth. A friend told me, Ethan, all the papers had Michael's name. Clara never gave you a chance. I could not believe it. I held the paper again. Yes, it was Michael. Then I checked another paper. Again, Michael. My hands shook. My heart broke once more. She had lied. She wanted the rich boy. I fell on my knees and cried, why, Clara? I gave you my heart. Why did you play with me? Even now, at 62, I remember that night. Some wounds never heal. Some lies cut deeper than a knife. When I tell this part of my story, I know many of you listening will feel the same. Some of you loved someone who chose another. Some of you gave everything and still lost. Some of you cried in silence and asked God, "Why me?" Love can lift you high, but love can also crush you. That night it crushed me, but I did not know then that God was still writing my story. I thought it was the end, but it was only the beginning. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 4. A Life Without My Love. Clara chose Michael. She smiled at him and said she would marry him. My heart broke that day. I thought maybe pain would end after one night of crying, but I was wrong. The pain stayed for years. It followed me like a shadow. The wedding day came. I was not invited, but I could not stay away. I walked near the church and stood outside. I saw Clara in her white dress. She was shining. Michael stood beside her, proud and happy. People laughed and clapped. I stood in the distance like a stranger. Tears filled my eyes. My lips whispered, "God, give me strength." Then I turned and walked away. That night, I sat alone in my small room. My hands covered my face. I said to myself, "She is gone." She was never mine. I must accept it, but my heart did not listen. It kept asking, why her? Why not me? Life after that was hard. I worked small jobs. I carried boxes in shops. I cleaned. I lifted. I worked with my hands. My clothes were always simple. My body was tired. But inside my chest the wound was worse than the work. Many times I saw Clara with Michael in the street. They looked rich. She wore gold. He wore fine clothes. I walked past them, looking down. Clara never looked at me. She acted like I was invisible. That cut me deeper than words. One evening, I came home late. My mother was waiting. She saw my face and asked, "Ethan, why are your eyes red?" I could not hide it. I said, "Mother, maybe God forgot me. Maybe I will always be alone." She held my hand and said softly, "No, son. God never forgets. He has a plan. You will see." At that time, I did not believe her. I thought those were only kind words. But now, at 62, I know she was right. Years passed, but the pain stayed. I remember once walking with torn shoes. Clara and Michael passed by in a car. Clara was laughing. Michael was smiling. I looked down at my feet and kept walking. That night, lying in bed, I whispered, "God, take this pain away. I cannot carry it anymore." But the pain did not go away. It stayed like a heavy stone on my heart. I tried to distract myself with work. I tried to act strong. But at night, when everyone slept, I cried. My pillow was wet again and again. I told myself, maybe I will never find love. Maybe I was born only to lose. If you are old like me, you will understand this. Some of you also lost the person you loved. Some of you watched them walk away with someone else. Some of you cried in silence, just like I did. At 62, I know many people carry these wounds. We do not speak about them, but they live inside us. Still, even in my pain, I remembered my mother's words. God has a plan. I wanted to believe it, but when I saw Clara happy and rich, and me poor and alone. It was hard to believe. One night I prayed again. I whispered, God, I am tired. If you want me to live alone, then give me strength. If you want me to find love, then please show me the way. I fell asleep with tears. At that time, I thought my story had ended. I thought love was gone forever. But God was writing something new. I did not know it then, but my life was about to change. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 5. The Truth of Clara's Heart. Clara married Michael. For some years they looked happy. She wore gold, he wore pride, and they walked like a rich couple. From far away, I watched. My heart still hurt, but slowly I was learning to live without her. I told myself, she made her choice. I must accept it. But deep inside, I was still broken. I worked every day. I carried boxes. I cleaned floors. I did small jobs with my hands. My body was tired, but what hurt most was my heart. Each time I saw Clara, the pain returned. She was always dressed in fine clothes. She never looked at me. She never spoke to me. I felt invisible. One evening I saw them together. Clara was angry. Her face was hard. She said loudly, Michael, you must do more. I want a bigger house. I want more gold. I do not want to live simple. Michael looked at her with tired eyes. He said, Clara, I am trying. I work day and night. Please be patient. But she shook her head and turned away. I stood far away and thought, this is not the Clara I knew in childhood. This is not the girl who shared bread with me. This is someone else. People in the town began to talk. They said, Clara is greedy. She is never satisfied. Some said, Michael is losing money in business. Clara is not happy. When I heard those words, I felt strange. I did not feel happy. I did not feel revenge. I felt fear. I thought, if Michael falls, will Clara stand with him? Or will she run? The answer came soon. Michael's father's business failed. They lost money. Their big house was sold. People whispered, the family is not rich anymore. And just like that, Clara left. She did not hold his hand. She did not say, we will get through this together. She packed her things and walked away. One day I saw Michael. He was sitting on a bench alone. His shoulders were bent. His clothes were plain. His eyes were red. He looked broken. I walked close and said, Michael. He looked up slowly. For a moment he did not speak. Then his voice cracked. He whispered, she left me, Ethan. She left me when I needed her most. I sat next to him. I did not know what to say. He covered his face with his hands and cried. I had not seen Michael cry since childhood. That day, he cried like a little boy. I put my hand on his shoulder. I am sorry, Michael, I said. He shook his head. Tears rolled down his face. Then he looked at me with pain in his eyes. He whispered, you were always the better man, Ethan. She should have chosen you. His words cut me. Once, long ago, I had begged for Clara's love. I had prayed for her. Now the man she chose was saying she should have chosen me. But I felt no joy. I felt only sorrow. That night I could not sleep. I lay on my bed and stared at the dark. I whispered, God, thank you. Thank you for not giving me Clara. Thank you for saving me from this pain. For the first time, I felt a strange peace. For the first time, I began to see the truth. At 62, when I look back, I see it clearly. Clara was never meant for me. She was not the angel I thought she was. She was a test. She was a lesson. She taught me what love is not. She taught me that beauty fades. She taught me that greed grows. She taught me that money cannot hold love together. If you are old like me, you know this truth. Some of you married people who cared more for money than for love. Some of you were left when life became hard. Some of you also sat alone on benches with tears in your eyes. You know the pain of being abandoned. You know the pain of seeing love turn to dust. I carried this truth with me. And slowly, the question, why me, left my heart. I stopped asking God why. I started saying, God, you know better. Michael's life went down after Clara left. He never became the same again. He lived with sadness. Sometimes I saw him, but we did not speak much. The distance between us had grown. Still, I wished him peace. He had lost just like me, only in a different way. From that day, something changed inside me. The wound was still there, but I felt lighter. I felt like God had closed one door to protect me. I did not know then that He was about to open another. I did not know that soon someone new would come into my life. Someone who would heal me. Someone who would prove that God's plan is always better than ours. Like, subscribe and share. Read this story and many more on our website bookishenglish.com, link in the description. Chapter 6. Meeting Sophia, My Healing. After Clara left Michael, my heart changed. For years I carried the pain of losing her, but when I saw her walk away from Michael, I finally understood. She was never meant for me. God had closed that door for a reason. Still, I was lonely. I worked. I prayed. I smiled in front of others. But when night came, I sat alone. I told myself, Ethan, maybe this is your life. Maybe you will grow old alone. I accepted that thought, though it made me sad. Then one day, something happened that I did not expect. God brought Sophia into my life. It started simple. I was at the library. I did not go there often, but that day I wanted a quiet place. A book slipped from a table. I bent down to pick it up. At the same time, a hand reached for the same book. Our fingers touched. She smiled and said softly, "Thank you." That was the first time I saw Sophia. Her smile was kind. Her eyes were calm. She was different from Clara. She was not showing off. She was not proud. She was gentle. I said, "It's okay." She looked at me and asked, "Do you read much?" I laughed a little and said, "Not enough." She smiled again. That small talk became a long talk. Soon we began to meet more often. She liked books and music. She liked simple things. She was not impressed by money. She listened when I spoke. No one had listened to me for a long time. One evening, when I shared a little of my story, she looked at me and said, "Ethan, you are rich in soul." Her words touched my heart like healing medicine. I almost cried. I whispered, "No one ever said that to me." She smiled and said, "That's because no one looked deep enough." I see it. Slowly, my pain began to lift. I found myself laughing again. I found myself smiling for no reason. Sophia brought light into my life where there had been only darkness. She was beautiful too, even more than Clara. But that was not what made her special. What made her special was her heart. She was kind, respectful, and honest. She gave me something Clara never gave me: peace. One day I told her the full truth. I said, "Sophia, I loved someone once. She broke me. She chose money over me. For years I thought I was not good enough." I looked down, ashamed. Sophia touched my hand and said, "Ethan, do not be ashamed. That pain made you who you are. That pain gave you depth. And God used that pain to bring you here to me." I felt tears in my eyes. I whispered, "Why are you so kind to me?" She smiled and said, "Because you deserve kindness. Because you are honest. Because love is not about money or power. Love is about truth." From that day, I knew I loved her. It was not fast. It was not a game. It was slow, steady, and real. She healed me one word at a time. She showed me that I was not forgotten. She showed me that God was still with me. When I look back now at 62, I see that meeting Sophia was the turning point of my life. God waited for the right time. He let me go through pain so I would understand true love when it came. And when it came, it was Sophia. She was not just a woman. She was my answer. She was my healing. She was my gift. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website bookishenglish.com, link in the description. Chapter 7. A Small Wedding, a Big Blessing. When Sophia came into my life, my heart began to heal. For years I thought love was gone forever, but with her, love came back. Not in a rush, not in a game, but in a slow and steady way. Every word she spoke gave me strength. Every smile she gave made me feel alive again. One evening, after months of knowing her, I told her, "Sophia, I never thought I would say this again, but I love you." My voice shook when I said it. My hands were cold. I waited for her reply. She looked at me with calm eyes and said softly, "I love you too, Ethan." I knew it from the start. In that moment, the years of pain began to melt. The weight I had carried on my chest for so long began to lift. I whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you for this gift." Soon, we decided to marry. There was no talk of big halls or gold. There was no demand for cars or dresses. We wanted only love. We wanted only family and prayers. I told her once, "I cannot give you riches." She smiled and said, "I do not need riches. I need truth. I need your heart." The day of our wedding was simple but full of meaning. My hands shook when I held hers. I said, "Sophia, I promise to love you till my last breath." She said, "Ethan, I promise to stand with you in every joy and in every pain." Those words were more precious than gold. After the wedding, we began our life together. It was not full of wealth, but it was full of peace. For the first time, I woke up each morning with hope. For the first time, I slept each night without tears. Years went by. We had children. I held my first baby in my arms and cried. I whispered, God, you have given me more than I ever asked. Sophia stood by me through everything. When I was tired, she gave me strength. When I doubted myself, she reminded me, Ethan, you are rich in soul. Sometimes at night, when the children were asleep, I sat with her and said, Sophia, you saved me. She smiled and answered, No, Ethan. Love saved you. God saved you. I was only the way those words touched me deeply. I often thought about Clara in those years. She was gone from my story. I did not hate her. I did not wish her harm. But I thanked God again and again that she was not my wife. I thought, if Clara had been here, my life would be full of fights and greed. But with Sophia, my life is full of peace. At 62, when I look back, I see our wedding as the turning point. That small wedding was not just the start of a marriage, it was the start of a new life. A life I never thought I would have. A life that proved God's plan is always better than our plan. I want to tell you something from my heart. Do not think love needs wealth. Do not think happiness needs gold. A simple life with true love is better than a rich life with greed. I know it. I lived it. And now, when I sit with Sophia and hold her hand, I whisper again, thank you, God, for this blessing. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 8. God's Gift of True Love. Years passed after my wedding with Sophia. Our life was not rich in money, but it was rich in peace. We had children, and later we had grandchildren. Each new life felt like a gift. I often sat with a baby in my arms and whispered, God, you gave me more than I asked. I once cried for Clara, but you gave me Sophia. You gave me a family. You gave me joy. Still, sometimes in the quiet of night, old memories returned. At 62, I cannot forget the pain of my youth. I remember the lies. I remember the tears on my pillow. I remember feeling invisible. But when I look beside me and see Sophia holding my hand, I know why it all happened. If I had married Clara, I would have lived with greed and fights. If I had married her, my life would be full of wounds. God saved me. God gave me better. Sophia and I often talked about life. One evening when the children were away, I told her, Sophia, I wasted so many years crying for Clara. I wasted nights asking God, why me? I feel foolish now. Sophia smiled and said, No, Ethan. Those tears were not wasted. They brought you here. They made you ready for me. Sometimes God breaks us first, so He can build us stronger later. Her words went deep into my heart. Many times she reminded me that love is not about what you have in your hands, but what you have in your heart. She said again and again, Ethan, you are rich in soul. That is why I love you. And every time she said it, I felt the wound of my past heal a little more. One day, many years later, I saw Michael again. He was older, his face lined with pain. He looked at me and said, You are lucky, Ethan. You found true love. I held his hand and said softly, No, Michael, I did not find it. God gave it to me. He nodded with tears in his eyes. That moment taught me another truth. Some people spend their whole lives chasing money and lose love. Others wait with faith and receive love as a gift. At 62, I now understand what I could not understand at 20. When God closes one door, it is not to hurt us, it is to protect us. When He takes away what we beg for, it is not because He does not care. It is because He has something better. Clara was my wish. Sophia was God's gift. I often tell my children and grandchildren, do not run after beauty that fades. Do not run after money that flies away. Find the person who stands with you when your pockets are empty, when your hair is white, when your body is weak. That is true love. They listen, but I know they will only understand when life tests them. That is how we learn. Sometimes I sit alone and think about the young boy I once was. Poor, shy, with torn shoes. That boy thought he was nothing. That boy cried because the girl he loved chose someone else. I wish I could tell that boy, do not be afraid. God has something better for you. If he could see my life now, he would not cry. He would smile. Sophia often laughs when I say this. Once I told her, "You are better than all my dreams." She touched my face and said, "And you are better than all my fears." That is love. Love is not perfect people living perfect lives. Love is two broken people holding each other and saying, "I will not leave." Now, in my old age, when my knees hurt and my hair is white, I look at Sophia and thank God. I say, "You gave me pain first, but then you gave me peace. You gave me tears first, but then you gave me joy. You gave me Clara as a lesson, but you gave me Sophia as a blessing." To everyone who hears my story, I want to say this from my heart. If you lost someone, do not think life is over. If you were betrayed, do not think you are worthless. If you were left behind, do not think you will be alone forever. Trust God. Cry if you must, but never lose faith. Because what He has for you will always be better than what you asked for. I am 62 now. My body is weak, but my heart is strong. I am living proof that true love is not found in riches or beauty. It is found in faith, patience, and honesty. Clara was my wish. Sophia was God's gift. That is the truth of my life. That is the truth I want to leave with you. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website www.bookisenglish.com. Link in the description. The end.